Okay, first YouTube video, and I'm coming for all of you guys. This 28 to 45 is chef's kiss. I think y'all a bunch of haters. Everybody was talking about it's too heavy. It's not, versatile enough with the focal range. I vehemently disagree. So rather than talk about it, let me just go ahead and show you a commercial that I shot with it. Let's take a look.
Fashion isn't one note. It's a whole vibe. Laced in kicks 1 minute, draped in silk the next. Jewelry that speaks, style that shifts. Get you a look that can do both. Now tell me, what are you wearing?
Okay, so first things up, image quality. This lens looks spectacular. I love this lens because it has a very clean look, but as you can see with that commercial, I had no problem adding some grain, some texture to it in post. Now, I love shooting clean because I like to add my dirt in post unless I'm going for a specific look that I know that I want. So, but other than that, I love just a nice clean lens because then I can take it where I want to take it. And I think for a zoom that comes out of a photo lens, this looks great. Now, I will say this is not a cine lens, so I'm not expecting character. I'm expecting this to be a workhorse, and it has done that. So not only have I shot this commercial with it, but here are some frames from some kickboxing, combat sports that I've shot with this lens, and it does such a great job just getting the job done. No matter what environment or situation I put it in, it is able to take on the challenge. That to me is a definition of a high quality workhorse lens. So in terms of image quality, knowing that this is a photo lens and not a cine lens, it gets an A+ in my book. Now, as far as build quality goes, this is going to be the least informative as I could probably ever say, but at the end of the day, I live in Vegas. This has held up beautifully through 120-degree weather. It's held up well in rain. I've shot outside in the rain with this. This thing is a tank, and I mean that in a good way. So honestly, it's not that heavy, and come on guys, for real, we're rigging out our cameras anyway. So I think for photography, it's a different ball game, but we're talking strictly video here. And the weight, stop. All right, there's camera bodies that weigh more than this. And so 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be on an easy rig if you're shooting all day. And if you're looking to put this to a mirrorless body, maybe I can see why it might be a complaint, but I just feel as a video shooter, weight shouldn't be the primary thing. Especially when so many nice cine lenses are heavy. So to me, this is a non-factor. Now, as far as the handling goes, this thing operates just fine. The aperture ring is really easy to use, and you can declick it and unclick it. You also have the focus and manual focus button. You have some customizable buttons on there as well. And one thing that I like a lot though is the focus ring. So even though it doesn't have hard stops, it pulls just like a cine lens, which is really nice. So I forget what they call it, focus by wire, I think, but I should know that, right? But yeah, I like the fact that when I can focus manually like this and it's linear. That's great. All in all, I love the feel of this lens. I actually like the heft to it. It just screams quality. It feels really well made, and I feel it's comparable to the G Master lens I've owned in the past. Now let's talk about the main reason why this lens was such a big deal in the first place, the f1.8. Now I shoot a lot of interviews, and to be able to have the separation at these focal lengths, I don't think people really realize being able to get a shallow depth of field for the wider range is a nice effect, right? It's really easy to get that telephoto. You can be at 2.8 at 70 and above and be just fine. But to have the 1.8 for that 28, 35, 40 range is basically monumental. And here are some frames that I shot for an interview recently that I think came out great. And this was at the 28 wide end. And I really love the look that I got at this angle, and it wouldn't have been possible without that 1.8. So kudos to Sigma for pushing the boundary. And we actually had some positional problems that having a strict prime would have really constricted the workflow, because we had to actually move the camera up. And I think I was probably at 30 millimeters. So just being able to have that 1.8 in a zoom range was really flexible and clutch as far as getting this interview pulled off. Not only that, but it makes it versatile for a portrait lens. So I will take photos for some of my clients, and being able to have that f1.8 just means I don't have to lens swap, which is really, really great. So I can shoot video, I can get to f4, f5.6 if I have multiple people in frame, but then if I have to, hurry up and switch over to photo mode on my FX3 and take a couple of client photos, I can do that and get that separation without having to change lens. So the f1.8 is not to be slept on and is a highly versatile feature. Now, another side of that f1.8 is the fact that it does great in low light. And contrary to telephoto lengths, 28 at 1.8 is not a super shallow depth of field, which means you still get a lot in focus in comparison to, say 80 at 1.8. So the fact that you get that 28 to 45 at 1.8, it's actually a lot more flexible than people realize or give credit for. So pairing that with my FX3, low light just hasn't been an issue in any situation. And even if I wasn't paired with an FX3, just the 1.8 gives you a lot of flexibility. So I think the f1.8 is a big deal in the zoom range, and I think it actually comes in handy for a lot. So with that being said, the 1.8 was a big reason why I bought this lens, and it has served me very well and has been everything that I needed to be and more. Now, let's talk about all you haters out there with the focal length range. Now, it's really weird because I look at this as a flex prime. I don't look at it as like a zoom lens per se. I look at it as a flex prime, and I think they should make more of them. So to me, this is like a 35 and a 45 and a 28 in one. And I don't understand why people are so upset with the constrictive range, because it's not constrictive at all. Like, I used to have the 35 1.4 and I got rid of it because I never used it because I was always on this 28 to 45. And being able to just adjust a few focal lengths, like just being able to go to like 40 instead of being stuck at 35, or being able to go to 32 or 30 is like really, really important, because in interviews, you know, your environment isn't always conducive to what you want to shoot. I think this focal range is great. Oh, and the other thing, I don't know what y'all are looking at, but 28 to 45 is like a massive shift. And I feel like that range of 28 to 45, a lot of change happens there. So when I look at like a 45, there's a lot of compression. Am I saying it's as much as a 70 plus? No, stop. But there is compression. Like 45 gets you into compression territory and is noticeable. And 28 is wide, and that's notable. And so like, here's two frames. This frame is 45 and this frame is 28. That is a big difference. Like, it's very clear that, you know, the 28 is focusing on a wide, right? Like it guides your eyes to see the whole frame, and that 45 really focuses you in the subject. So it's kind of weird to me that people are complaining about the range as if it's not versatile. And, you know, again, coming from primes, because I love primes, I'm like, yo, this is extremely flexible. And I really feel like people aren't taking the time to see what 28 can do and what 45 can do, and how different in looks they really are. Again, looking at these shots, like, to me, they're night and day difference. So I think this range is highly versatile. Again, coming from the video perspective, if you're doing photo, that's a different ball game. I don't think the payout for the 1.8 is worth the 24 to 70, because again, different ball game, different tool, different job. But for video shooters, like, this lens lives on my camera. I mean, there has not been a situation where I was like, man, I'm not wide enough. A lot of times, if I'm going wide, I actually want wider than 24. I'd actually prefer like 18 or 20. And then if I'm going telephoto, I tend to like to go 85 or above. So for me, at least, I'm not really, you know, catching all with one lens anyway. So I would rather just have something like this that just does a really good job from 28 to 45 that can give me that f1.8. And then if I need to establish a shot with the wider lens or with the wider angle, I'd honestly rather go like 18 or 20 or even 16, which 24/7 doesn't do. And I love 85, and I really, really, really love 105. So, you know, again, your shooting cases are a lot different than mine, but I'm really in a situation where I need more than 28. You know, at least for the work that I do, like real estate, when I shoot real estate, I've got my 17 to 28 Tamron, but other than that, like, I have not needed to be wider than 28, and I'm filming all sorts of things indoors as well. Like I said, this interview was 28 and it was plenty wide. So I just think that people aren't actually taking the time to film at 28 to see how effective it really is. And I don't think people are taking the time to film at 45 to see how effective it really is. 40 is my favorite overall focal length, and so that's in here, and it separates just fine. And 28 does a good job of giving you a wide view. So I don't know. I think this range is really versatile, and I think if you can't make it work, I really think it speaks more to your lack of creativity and skill set than the lens itself. But hey, what do I know? So I do want to talk about longevity. I think part of a lens is like just how well does it hold up. I've had this lens for about 8 months now, and it still looks brand new, and I've used this thing all the time. Like I said, it's got a nice heft to it. It's great build quality, and it just works. And I've thrown it in and out of my bag so many times, on and off the camera, and I honestly just have no complaints about it. Again, coming from the fact that I'm rigging out cameras and we're shooting video, I guess the way I look at it is this is a prime lens. This is not a zoom lens. And I think if you look at it from that angle, you can appreciate it a lot more. Again, I used to have a 35 and a 50 and carry it with me everywhere I went, and this just takes care of that. So although it's not as wide as 24. And yes, there have been times I wish I had 24, but not to the detriment of the lens itself, right? So I just think that the trade-off for the f1.8 to have 28 to 45 is super flexible. Everything from hero shots to wide establishing shots you can get with this lens. And the fact that you can double up and use it for interviews and portraits, to me, it's just clutch. It's just a lot you can do with this one lens. If I had the choice between having this and a 50 or a 35 in my bag, I would choose this. Now, is it the most portable thing in the world? No. But again, it depends on what you're filming, right? So if I'm traveling, you know, for like personal travel and I want something light, no, this is not my first option. I would probably go for a 24 to 70 because it's lighter, more compact. And honestly, I'd probably just go for a prime if I'm traveling. But for everyday video work where I'm doing client shoots, I think this is highly underrated and highly underappreciated. Now, I have seen some wedding filmmakers filming with this, so shout out to you guys. But other than that, I feel like this lens is underappreciated. I feel like it gets written off as like a classic, you know, clinical photo lens when it's not. Again, the frames that I was able to get with this have been phenomenal. The textures can be added in post, and the focal lengths I think are highly misunderstood. I would highly consider looking at this as a flex prime. If you are a video shooter, I think this is a staple lens. Again, you have 28 to 45 at f1.8. I just can't stress how flexible that is. But if you hate this lens, you should rent it and really test it out and really try the 28, try the 45, and just see how different you can get your shots with those focal lengths. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So anyways, that's how I feel about the Sigma 28 to 45 f1.8. I think it's a great lens. Is it for everybody? No, and I do think it favors more on the video side. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to get on here and give my 2 cents because I feel like it gets unnecessary hate, and I think Sigma did a fantastic job. And I think it's safe to say that we all know this, but like when you buy a Sigma lens, especially their art line, their top of line, like you really do get top class lenses for half the price as what you would get from like a prime manufacturer. So anyways, I just wanted to hop on here, give a shout out to Sigma. I love this lens. It has done wonders for me in my work, and I'm excited to keep filming with it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.